Hey, how's it going? This is Rachel here from Forza Femme, and tonight I'm going to be making sticks. And all right, did I get that squared away? All right, I think I got that squared away. Tonight we're going to be making, or I'm going to be working on some more sticks that I'm going to try and getting finished for St. Patrick's Day. This one right here is actually going to be a display piece, not going to be functional. I mean, yeah, it is wood, it is a stick, but this is going to be for display purposes only, and this is what I'll be doing. I'll be cutting up some more sticks, getting that whole batch process going, you know. That's where I'm at with things. You know what? Let's have a cigar while we do this. Why not? I haven't had one today. I've had 3. And this is actually, that is my heat gun. And I use that to straighten out sticks. It actually does a very good job, believe it or not. All right, we're lit. Okay, let's grab another stick off the pile. We're gonna make, I'm gonna put this in the to-do pile. Actually, these 2 right here are gonna go right over here. Those are sticks that could be worked on, that are already past the point of where I'm currently at. But this one right here, it's actually a pretty strong little stick. I'm not sure what this species is either, but I'm gonna get to cutting on this guy. Whatever. So this stick right here, as you see, is kind of wild. It's got all these little pieces hanging out, but I kind of like that. But I'm still trying to figure out, like, I put it in my hand and I hold it and it's like, all right, what's digging at my hand? And that's where I'm trying to figure it out of where I want to go with this design. That's basically how I go with it, is I go with the what's it like in my hand. And in my hand, it's a stout, strong little stick. Needs to be straightened out a little bit, but the handle so far is actually working with some of these crazy little pieces. So I'm going to cut off this. I might cut off that. I might actually leave that, and I might leave this one right here. So you just have kind of a gnarly stick. But I'm going to cut that guy off. So let's get that cut off now. Let's get the towel in there. All right. That one's going to go. And then I'm going to file it back a little bit. Not too much, I don't think. We'll see, though. Sometimes you never know till you get to that point. And nice and slow. I go nice and slow like that because it doesn't do much tear out, doesn't do a whole lot of fraying. Like, there's a tiny bit, but nothing to really, write home about, anything like that. And I like I said, I like keeping some of the flavor on there. All right. Do a little bit of cleaning up. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. I like to keep some of the life of the previous existence where it was attached to a tree on it. All right. I want to do some straightening out on this real quick. Let's get this in the rice. You can see it's a little bit off this way. So I'm going to put some heat on it and straighten it. There. All right, now let's get this guy going. It's my heat gun. And that's all I do is I just get it nice and warm. And once it's nice and hot, it makes it to where, it's more malleable. And then I just take it and hold it, bend it and hold it, and put it in the position I want it to be reprogrammed in, and then we're good to go. And for those that can hear me, how does it sound with the microphone on and the heat gun running? Before I had the microphone, the heat gun was like overpowering sound. It was not fun, to say it lightly. And when I do the straightening, I try to, or the heating part of this, before I do the straightening, I like to get a good area of it warmed up, not just the area I want to straighten out. It seems like it makes it less likely to crack. I mean, a stick that's going to crack is going to crack. I had a couple crack on me today because they just, there are voids in them that you can't see until you start working on them. That's how you find those voids. So, all right. Getting there. You can't really do like a count to 10 or anything like that either. It's kind of like stick per stick basis, depends on the species. The overall diameter of the stick, that all goes into how long it takes to get it warm. All right, let's try this. We're gonna just straighten it out a little bit. There we go. That bent real straight actually. So let's get it. There we go. Then just pull and hold. Yep, until it's no longer hot. And once it's cool to the touch, that's pretty much it. It's reprogrammed. Some of them though, they're pretty wild. I'll show you when I have that. I've never used it before. I don't know what kind of wood it was because it was cut and left by the side of the road by the city when they do their like tree limb trimming and stuff. So I grabbed some and I'm like, hey, I wonder if I can make some sticks out of that. And well, we shall see. All right, let's see. And you can see it's much straighter. All right, and then I'm gonna actually, like I said, I'm gonna do this little spot right here. There's a little bit of a bend. If you look, it's kind of hard to tell. Well, at least from my angle, I can see it goes and then it like kicks off to this side. So we're gonna put it in. We're gonna bend it. Make it a little bit straighter. All right. This is one of the species that I got from the park by my house where I was doing some foraging. I got actually several sticks from this particular tree, it looks like. The bark looks the same as some of my other bigger pieces. And I don't know what it is, unfortunately, but I can say it is a tough wood. It's going to make some very nice sticks. I got a couple lined up that are pretty beastly. Actually, the next one I'm going to do is going to be really quite beastly. That'll be the one I start working on in 2 wiggles of a rabbit's tail. Like I said, you just gotta let it go until it cools. And then you got it, and then it's reprogrammed. All right, now let's see. That's a nice sturdy stick right there. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit of working on it this way. I'm gonna cut a little bit off, this way, and might trim these up a little bit so they're not as gnarly. But for as it stands, no, it's a pretty good stick. I mean, that's one for someone about my height. I'm 5'4". At least you want it to your wrist, and that's actually a pretty good one for my wrist. So yeah, this is a fun stick right here. I'm gonna keep some of the knobbier ends. I'm gonna take them down a little bit, and then this stick will be. Actually, I might even paint this one black. I'm not sure. I haven't painted one black in a while. Oh, here's the one I was gonna show you about. Like I said, being gnarly, but there it is. All right. So this is a real wild stick right here. I don't know what species this is, but you can see it's got this wicked bend in it. Let's see if we can try and get this straightened out. Nope. Yeah, we'll try it. This might be good to go. I've never seen anything quite like this before. All right, let's get this back straight. Let's go here, like so. Oh, already, what'd I do? I think I cracked some bark on it. Oh, well, it happens. What are you gonna do? Say lovey. All right, now let's get this going and try and straighten this out. This is the part that's kind of like watching paint dry, I guess you could say. But if this stick pans out, this could actually make a pretty neat stick. But like I said, we'll see. It might even just turn into a shillelagh, and that'd be a really quite a fun one, to be honest. But we'll see what this thing does when I start prying on it. Oh, hello. How's it going? This is Rachel from Fort La Femme, and I am seeing what this stick is made out of. Seeing if it can handle a bend. I want to say that's probably, yeah, that's pretty warm. We'll try this. We'll see. Oh, I don't want to go too crazy with it. Little by little. You'd be amazed at how straight you can get a stick to go sometimes. And I'm going to hold this until it cools just right there. I'm not going to go too far. And then if I do a reheat, I'll then make it much straighter. But we'll see how this works for now. I didn't straighten out too much, but I will show you. And this is the wood right here. I don't know what species this is, but it's certainly interesting, to say the very least. I've never really seen anything like it. And I don't think it's a birch when it comes down to it. At least I don't think it is, but we shall see. Oh, uh-oh, it's got some beetle damage in there somewhere. There we go. Getting that little confetti-like stuff. So that means we're going to cut this right now and see what we got to work with. All right. That means there could be a little beetle larvae in there right now. I had a couple today that were dug out. The little critters were just starting to wake up with the warm weather coming in. So this will tell us a lot right here. What's going on under the bark. All right, let's see. We got, there's a little bit of larvae got going in there. Actually, there's one in there right now. Little critter, if you can see that top hole. There's actually a little beetle larvae in there. Yep, could even be one right in the middle. All right, now let's see with this. I don't really, we'll cut that like right there. That's a good spot to cut. Why not? You start getting close, you want your cuts to get more strict, more serious, tighter. You don't want to go too far. You'll cut right into the bark and scar the bejesus out of it, and then it just looks bad. So, and tore off a little bit more bark. Uh-oh. Looks like some beetle damage. If it's just bark, that's no big deal. You can deal with that, or you can work with that. But if it's getting through there, it might be. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see on this guy. Might have to just hold off on this one. I'll just set it over here as one to hang out with for a bit. Here's a good one right here. This is one I already bent straight some time ago, but I'm actually gonna make this a ball end. I'm going to cut both ends of this off. But right now, I'm going to do a little bit of drawing. Give me a rough idea where to stay in the lines of. And it's just, I don't get too exact with it, but you can see the white lines on there. And then I'm just going to cut around it and start shaping it. All right. Okay. All right. Now this one we're actually going to cut a little farther because I'm going to check something. I might not make this a round end. I might just make this kind of a T end. This sticker, get a little bit more. There we go. Got it. And so this style is one I'll show you when I made that's more like this. It's more like an old style club, goblin-y style, and you just can clean it up. But I might make this a little round one. Might be neat to have a little round-headed wheel shillelagh. So let's see. Yeah, do that. We'll cut this down a little bit more. So it's going to come that way. Going to come down. We'll try this. We'll just cut it right here on the line. Even though I just goofed that one up like a nerd. What the heck? When you get close to the bark, you gotta take it slow so you don't mess it up. All right, and this is where we'll start rasping it, getting that shape going. Actually, I'll put you way over here, out of the way. And this rasp, as you see, it just makes really quick work of getting that rough shape in there. I'll come at that from another angle. All right, get that in there. I'm going to have to hold this. I rasp at it a little bit. All right, so not bad. I got to get in there and get a little more aggressive on the rasping, so we'll secure it up this way. Put you over there and then shape a little more. I almost think this could be like a mulberry with how yellow it is, but I don't know. Gotta do a little bit more to get that round shape going. You know, like it's so far it's kind of like a T handle, I guess you could say. Let's actually bring this in a little bit closer so you guys can see what I'm babbling about over here. That little bit of heartwood's got a little bit of bite on it. That's what this keeps biting into. Not too bad, but still want it to go a little bit more round. I think, I don't know. I'm kind of digging that it's just a tiny little bit going round on it. Fix my microphone a tiny bit. Get it over here on the side. Okay, there we go. But yeah, so now, yeah, I guess I could round that up a little bit more. It's biting too much. Looks like I'm gonna have to go at it from a less coarse side. That's the cool thing about this particular rasp is it has a very coarse side, and then it also has a much finer side. And they're both very handy in stick making. This is one of the coolest tools I've ever encountered for this particular task, we'll call it. Let's see where we're at. Oh, that's looking not too bad right there. Now we're going to get more on this side and round this off. There's not a whole lot to do on this one, really, when it comes down to it. I'd like to use the more coarse side on this, but it's just the way it is right now. You can't always do it with certain sticks. Like this one, it's real light and springy. So while I'm working it, it just makes it do that crazy bouncing sound. That makes, I know me, can get some bad gouges in there when I do that. throw you off your course a little bit. If you hear that little bit, that's what I'm talking about. That's just a little example right there. Just a cute little guy. Just enough for a little kid. Because it's just a little one, like I said. But it's a cute little guy. I'll throw that over there. Let's get to the big one now. Now this one right here. It's been seasoning a long time. Let's see what this is all about. Sometimes you don't know till you get deeper into the wood where you stand. And this one's going to be no different. We'll do, I'll show you. Just going to, something like that. And follow. And that's the basic guidelines right there. And I'm going to follow. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to cut that off. And then I'll shape it. There we go. Let's get the handy dandy hands out, and then we'll start cutting. Oops. Let's see. It smells like oak. I'm not sure, but it does smell like oak. I got it from a big pile at a park near me where there was some arborists doing some fresh cutting. And they were stacking them up in this big pile. And the pile that they were making that day, it was basically just all the branches they cut off from around the park and they stacked them up. So it was just a whole mix of different species. So do I know what it is? No. And so what I can tell you is it is a Michigan hardwood. That's about all I can tell you. And it's a Michigan hardwood because it's found in Michigan. And it is a deciduous. Deciduous are the hardwoods. Yes, even balsa is considered a hardwood. As soft as that stuff is. And when you get in right here, I like to start cutting real slow and delicate so I don't get into that bark and mar it up or gouge it really. And there we go. Yeah, that does smell like oak. Time will tell. But all right, so you can see I've got a rough shape of it going here. Well, I guess you can kind of, well, you can't really tell from there, I guess. But trust me, I'll show you. This is where we're starting, and then it's gonna be a ball end like that. Alright. And this rasp makes quick work. Let me tell you, this thing's awesome. It's called a Shinto, and it's from Japan. And I gotta say, they definitely know what they're doing with this guy. And for this one, you know what? I'm just going to take a lot of the top bark off. Most of my sticks are largely barked. This one I'm going to remove a lot of. Why not? Have some fun with it. There's no real rules to stick making. The most important rule, make sure they're well seasoned. And that's about really it. Let's show off some of that wood. Feeling like Bob Ross over here. Yeah, just get crazy with it. Have fun. Get wild. So channeling Bob Ross on this one. Big fan of that guy. Grew up watching him. My whole family are fans of him. When I learned later into his life, or long after he passed, I should say, was that the reason he could paint those paintings so quickly was he actually had a finished painting just out of view that he would look, and he'd look at it, look at the painting, and then go back and paint his painting, and then look at it and go back. And that was how Bob Ross did the magic of Bob Ross. Another cool thing about Bob Ross was he still taught art classes long into his life, even after having much success with the show. What was it called? The Art of Bob Ross. I can't remember what it's called now. But anyway, Bob Ross would still teach art class. And if he took a liking to a student, he would give away his painting to that student. I always thought that was neat, to give away the painting he did along with the class. He was also in the Air Force. He was a drill sergeant. He wasn't fond of his time in the Air Force because Bob Ross was a very sweet man. And to be a drill sergeant, you have to just yell a lot, and you have to find everything wrong. At least for the stage of boot camp he was a part of. And he said, I just didn't like it. I just had to yell at everybody all the time, and that's just not the guy that I am. Kind of like Mr. Rogers. He was also, I think, in the Air Force. I could be wrong, but I think he was in the Air Force. He didn't talk much about it, though. But I'm not sure about Bob Ross. But Mr. Rogers, I believe, was drafted. Bob Ross, I believe, joined. Could be wrong on that. But he was, I believe, Korean War era. So if he was, that makes sense if he was, in fact, drafted. All right, so we're gonna skive off some TikTok and go to Instagram. All right, let's go Instagram. I've been going live there as well as YouTube. It's been a lot of fun. All right, now let's go live. We'll call it stick making. So I've been calling it all day. Stick making. And we are live. Hey folks, how's it going? Rachel here out of Detroit, Michigan, and I am making walking stick. These are what I'm working on to have for a Friday drop. This Friday, coming Friday. All right. So you can see where I'm at so far. I'm getting that kind of shaped. And then I'm going to continue on. I'm going to bring it more. I might need to cut this. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut that. Cut it right off. Yep. That's going bye-bye. The thing about working with sticks, you only get like one chance. That's it. It's not like metal where you can like re-weld it. With most things. You know, before I do that, let's have some hydration. And what time is it? Quick time check. It is 8:05. All right. This will probably be the last one I work on tonight. So we're going to let's cut it like right there. We'll just go straight through it. And then I'll start rasping it again and we'll get back to that good old fashioned round shape. All right, there we go. Nice. the bark on this, whatever the bark is on this species I have, that I do not know what it is, it's really quite thick. Back in and get to rasping. Let's get this cigar lit again. Yeah, it's out. Okay, and back to it. Rinse and repeat. Blow off some sawdust. Keep shaping. And this stick has been seasoning. I believe this one's been seasoning close to a year and a half, something like that. Okay. There we go. It smells like it could be oak. That's one of the things you start to pick up on working with woods is you start to pick up on smells and all sorts of little things. Now I'm using the less coarse side to get some of them deeper gouges out. Take a little bit more of this bark off over here, give it that symmetrical look. It's looking pretty symmetrical, pretty dang good if I do say so myself. Got to take it to the belt sander after I get a whole pile of them. Working in batches this week to try and get as many done as I can. I'll be showing you what it looks like where I'm at in a second. All right. Hang on, and here it is. That's the overall rough shape. It's gonna get a little bit more, like I said, sanding done on it on the belt sander. And this is actually like a staff length. It could be cut down to walking stick length, don't get me wrong. But this is one that will be one very awesome stout stick. This would be great for, I always want to see one of these like as like a, in a wedding picture for like the groom or something. I always thought it'd be like right on the money for him. Okay, let's see, do I have, oh, I do got sticks over here. Let's get these sticks over here cut up. I got a real long one right here. This guy's, we've got a wicked bend in it. It'll come out. This one will straighten up nice if it's the same wood as the other ones I've been working on, the same species. I'm not sure what it is, like I said, but it's tough. And Hensley Handmade is joined. Hi, how are you? And this one right here, I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna try and do I don't know if I'm gonna do a knob end or like a crook end. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's not a crook end, like a shepherd's crook. But this is what I'm talking about, like this. And this is kind of the vibe I could put on this I might do that. That's when I had fun with and just started doing some carving on. I'm not, let's see. This might have to be for display purposes only with all the lichen on it. Oh well, anyway, let's get back to cutting. All right. All right, so I do like where the length on this one is, but I'm gonna cut a little bit off. But this one, I'm gonna cut it down to there as well. Somewhere around right here. All right. Let's go, and then cut lightly. If you don't, you can risk cutting the bark. And I don't know what that is, but it has kind of like a fruit wood smell to it. Not exactly, but kind of got that vibe going. Oh, there we go, like a little biscuit. And now you can see it's kind of got that crook end on it. And it's kind of long, so I almost want to shorten it down. I don't know. For like the little ones. Little ones need walking sticks too. But yeah, you see that it's pretty much well to go. Just do some sanding on it. That'd be a quick one, really. Where'd that other stick go? There you are. Now this big guy. This could get a ball end on it, a knob end. Let's try it. Okay, so we're gonna follow. And we're gonna follow. Or cut it off around both those. And this, when it's straightened out, because as it stands, this is almost 4 feet tall with the big crook in it, or bend. So either way, when I straighten it out, this will be much taller, and then I'll cut it down to the desired length. All right, now let's start here. I got a whole mess of ends cut off in here. I got more sticks to cut too that I haven't even brought into the fray. Let's get light cuts or light pulls when you get to this point. There we go. And then we're going to cut this guy back a little bit, like right there. All right, now, I'm not sure what this is either. Like I said, these all came out of a pile of fresh cuts from arborists that were at a park I forage at. And so Bob's your uncle on what the species is. It's got a little bit of ambrosia beetle. Got to it a little bit. And ambrosia beetles like sapwood, if I recall, of the sweeter woods, fruit woods, maple, stuff like that. You know, I'm going to take the bark off the top of this guy. Oh, see? There we go. Beetle trails. Little larvae got in there. Right across the top. Let me see if I can bring it down for you guys to see. You can see the little bit of a trail right there. That's where it came through, and that's the ambrosia beetle. The little critters are very destructive. They do not discriminate. If the wood is sweet, they want in on it. Now, let's just cut all this bark off. See what's going on here. Got them little beetle trails just making their way around, doing what they were made to do. All right, let's see. All right, now we're gonna take that out. Now I gotta get a little bit more Actually, I'm going to cut that down. I'll cut that little piece off first. Let's get that cut off. A little bit more. There we go, got it. All right, I'm going to cut off the back of this a little bit more. Give it a little bit more round shape, or easier to get it to that round shape instead of rasping this all off. There we go. Get this cigar there again. Always goes out. Of course, all on there. All right, let's get that knob in shape then. A little bit more. And a little bit more on this guy. Actually, let's just grind that off. Get rid of it and make it round. On this side. All right, now let's see where we're at. Getting there. That little round end and the little beetles got in there and tore the bejesus out of this. You can see it got real wild. You can see, there you go. That's all from the beetle. That little bugger is a determined, very, very well designed little bug. Larvae, actually. Nonetheless. Okay, let's see. Get this back in the vise and keep grinding. Back on the grind. This is where that little branch was. I'm just going to smooth it off. Get off more of this bark. That little larvae is feasting on the stick. But it actually doesn't take away from the integrity of the stick, believe it or not. Well, I mean, it can. Where this is, nah, it's not a big deal. Alright, now let's kick it out this way. Actually, I want to cut that off. That little bugger's causing all kinds of turmoil in my artistic mind. Alright, so I'm going to cut this guy off. Alright, I'm going to rasp that down real quick. Watch how fast this thing can take this. This is sticking up about 7/16. Let's see. What is that, maybe 10 passes? That's basically dropped down to 0. Check it out. I love this thing. There you go. Problems be gone. Now, come here. This way. I don't know about y'all, but I like to have a cigar while I work. There we go. That's getting that beetle larvae worked out of there. The trail it dug. It's quite a trail indeed. Get that bark off. That's looking pretty dang good now. I'll take the rest of it to the belt sander probably. But you can see just a little bit of a knob on the end. That's all. Not much. And as I'm told, these are in the north of Ireland, not Northern Ireland, but the north, that these are more fashionable with the smaller knob. And in Southern Ireland, they prefer the larger knob. Different cultures. There we go. Now let's rasp that flat. That amazing sound it makes. And dropping ashes on my workbench. There we go. Get that puppy squared away. All right. All right. There we go. Got that taken down. Now it's time to get it straightened out a little bit. We're going to do it right about there. Get the heat gun out. And then I just get it warm until it's pretty much hot to the touch. And then I will push or pull. This time I'm going to pull. And then when it cools down, it's reprogrammed. And I like to get a good portion of the area warm, not just right at where I'm trying to straighten it. It just seems to, I don't know, straighten out better. Makes it all together nicer, at least for me it does. Getting text messages. I'm just getting time to go in. I'm at 54 minutes. I've got here a few more minutes, basically to the end of this cigar. And I'll be heading inside. And tomorrow I'll be right back at it again. I want to get a bunch of these up and ready for the Friday drop. And I'm doing them all in batches. Every step. So far I'm just doing straightening and rasping. All right, let's see. Let's set this guy over here. Let's see if this will Yeah, there we go. You guys can see it's straightening out a little bit. And yes, I do break them. And yes, they absolutely do break sometimes. It's just the name of the game. There is no getting out of this without breaking things. But that's where that trial and error comes from. Let's see how warm that is. That's pretty warm still. I have to do probably a couple heats on this to straighten it out. Here at least, because this one's resisting me pretty good. Yeah, still gotta hold it. It's kind of like watching paint dry at this point. I do apologize. It's not faster and more streamlined. It's just part of the process. All right. It's getting a little bit cooler each time I touch it. It's still pretty warm though. When I try to bend it, I try to bend it back a little bit beyond the straight line. So we're going to actually do it again. We're going to go a little farther down now, right to this point. Got a little bit of that bend out of it. Not a lot, but a bit. Gotta get this thing hotter. But so far, this is shown to be a good spit. Good spit holding. There's no popping, no cracking. Maple is actually the one I've had the least luck with. I don't know why, but the bark will start popping and cracking, and then it just gives. I actually think the maple I was working with might have had some kind of disease, and it made the wood kind of weak. It almost made it porous in a couple of them, it looked like. And this is the part that is, I don't mind this part because it gives me a chance to like chill out a little bit. But for those that are watching, it's kind of like watching paint dry. I mean, maybe it isn't for you. To some, they actually enjoy this part of the process. Like this is that part where they're just like, wow, so that's how they get things so straight. Okay, so my phone just went black and white on me, so let's turn that off. That means it is 8 o'clock my time. All right, there we go. Let's see how this guy, let's see how this one straightens up. So far, it's actually doing really well, like I said. Got a little too far on that one, so I'm gonna just hold it here, and that's a really warm stick at this point, so just gonna keep holding it till it cools down. And once it's cool, like I said, then it's reprogrammed, and you're good to go, usually. But this one, I've already needed to do 2 heats on it to get it straight. It's just the name of the game, just the way it is. So when it cools, it's still a bit warm, a little too warm to let it go. We'll know where we stand on things. Oh, that's looking pretty good, actually. We'll hold it a bit longer. It's cooling down. Let's see if it's reprogrammed. Yeah, I did pretty good. Now we'll see. It's not as wild. There's still this big bow, of course, but that got much, much straighter. So we're gonna go right about here, put it in there, straighten that out. There we go. Had a little stem in there. Slowing my roll. All right, let's get this. Heat it up. There we go. Come on, right back to this. Hey guys, how's it going? Rachel here from Sports with Fun, and I'm straightening out a walking stick. I'm getting it heated up so it'll bend real nice and easy. And then I'll hold it in a position that once it's cooled, it'll be reprogrammed and it'll stay straight. And that's the cool thing about sticks is once it's well and thoroughly seasoned, it'll actually stay straight pretty much forever. Every now and again, some very humid weather can kind of bring the old life out of it, but not always. It's not so common. I've had it happen with, I believe, one stick, and it's a beast. And I might try and straighten it again, but I think I've straightened it twice now, and it's been, God, I think I've had it for 5 years now, so it's very thoroughly seasoned. It's awesome. But it's got a bend in it. It's so stubborn. All right. All right, let's get this over here and out of the way. And now we're going to take it, and we're just going to straighten it until it cools down. And that's the magic of straightening a stick. Just a little bit of heat can go a long way on a well-seasoned stick, though. That's the magic. It's got to be well-seasoned. And this one, I think all my sticks are probably about the year mark, minimum. Some of them might be a little bit closer to 2 years. And they just sit in my shed and just hang out and season. That's all they do. Let's see. I'm feeling to see if it's warm enough to let go, and it seems like it could be, but it's got a little bit of warmth still in it. All right, that should be reprogrammed. Let's see. Getting there. Now I'm going to take it and go at this bend. I'm going to pull it even further that way. All right, yeah, we're going to do it. Let's see. Looks like we'll actually go like right here. All right. Same thing as before. Heat it up, hold it in place, let it cool down, and then it's reprogrammed. Some sticks you gotta do it all one way, and you'll turn it like 90 degrees, and then you'll see it starting to get curved in and out the other way. Anyway, by the way, if you guys can hear me, throw a like, or throw some ones in the comments. Let me know that my microphone's working. Had some issues with it lately, and I didn't know it until I was good 30 minutes into the live, and that was just like talking to myself pretty much. Set that down, and let's bend. And then just hold. That's all we're going to do. Because it's got a little bit of craziness going on, just hold it like right there. And this stick is almost gone. I've been live for about an hour, a little over actually now. All right, let's scoot you down a little bit. And there we go, right there. Bend it some more, little by little, slow and steady. All right, let's see where we're at on this thing. Little by little. And now this, we're going to put this in there right here. Do one more and I'll be done. This is just a heat gun, just run of the mill from Harbor Freight, the almighty Harbor Freight. There we go. Let's see what this will do now that we got that good and heated up. Whoosh 69 says just keep sticking with it. I had a friend whose dad would go droll on jokes like that. Welcome back, by the way. Just keep sticking with it. You know the funny thing about that? Nobody said that yet. You're the first one to say that. That's funny. Let's see if I can get this to straighten up this way. Sometimes I'll do it this way too. You kind of kill two birds with one stone. And I remember one time I was doing it on this maple tree I have that's just endlessly difficult for me. I don't know what to do. I gotta cut that off. And it snapped, and it was like one of those motions. And I didn't biff it, but dang near. Would have been pretty funny if I was recording it. All right. Now let's get this in the vise. It looks like that keeps being the spot. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like the spot that I need to get the last hurrah on. All right, come on now. That stick is done. Let's get the heat gun out here. I don't know what it is about smoking a cigar while straightening sticks, but it's like, it's my vibe for sure. It used to be every now and again I'd have a beer, usually it's this Polish porter. I live in a Polish enclave. We got so many Polacks in Detroit area, and it's called Zivits. Zivits? I don't know how to pronounce it. Zivits. And it's a very good Polish porter. And there's another one that I would get called Oposin, and that one's a hard one to find, but that was really good. Had a big, I think it was a phoenix on there, because it was on fire, but some have said it was the Polish eagle that was on fire. All right, here's the last bend of the night. Let's see if we can get this guy looking like a walking stick, a hiking stick, if you will. All right, now let's, there we go. We're gonna get a more sweeping bend on it. Sometimes I'll do like a hard bend, sometimes I'll do like a sweeping bend. This one's getting a sweeping bend. I just wish I knew what species wood this was. And I don't know if this will be a hiking stick or a walking stick. I don't know. I don't really know until I get to the point I'm like, this would be a good hiking stick. And considering this is long and thin, this actually could be kind of a nice hiking stick. You don't want them too heavy. Some people want like the big Gandalf style, which I have a couple of those. And they're very well seasoned now. And I don't know how the heck I would ship them, because shipping at that point would be like $100. But they'd just be ridiculously cool to have some gigantic Gandalf-like stick out there in the wilds of the world. And all things cosplay. All right, now let's see where we're at. This was the last bend of the night. It's getting there. I can see I got like one more bend right here. Oh, and I'm getting greedy. So I'm going to take it easy on this one. As you see, that's the knob I'm working with. So I'm going to try and straighten it out, but it's probably just going to be that way. I don't know if I'll straighten it out too much. We'll see. I don't know. I never know with these. But, yep. Well, if you would have seen what this was, this bent way out earlier. But this is where I'm at. I am Rachel. This is Forge La Femme, and I am calling it a night. You guys have a good night. Tomorrow is Wednesday. That means we're halfway through the week. So, cheers to all out there. Have a good night. Peace. All right.